Hello, everyone. Welcome to the professional showing of COVID Monologues. We are thrilled that you, public health researchers and practitioners, and people who serve our communities have joined us here today. For closed caption accessibility, please take a look at the chat for more information above. COVID monologue organizers are on the unceded land of the Piscataway peoples, tended to by the Susquehannock, Lenape, and Lumbee peoples, currently known as Baltimore, Maryland, the Kickapoo, Kansa, and Osage peoples, currently known as Kansas City, Missouri, and the Washoe Nation, currently known as Lake Tahoe, Nevada. We ask you to join us in acknowledging these people, their elders, both past and present, as well as future generations. We also ask that you acknowledge the communities of the unceded land where you reside on personally today. This acknowledgement demonstrates a commitment to beginning the process of working to dismantle the ongoing legacies of colonialism. And if you don't know what native land you are on, you can go to the website native-land.ca, which is also in the chat, to see what land you are residing on. It has been over a year since the first case of community spread COVID-19 in the United States. Since then, over 28 million Americans have been infected, and the virus has changed our society in ways we never imagined. We are a group of public health researchers with a love for theater and theater professionals with a love for public health. I am Genevieve DeMai, Artistic Director of Single Carrot Theater in Baltimore, Maryland.
I'm Sarania Tharmaraja. I'm a theater artist and public health researcher based at Johns Hopkins.
I'm Jess Rasp, a partnering producer and contributing artist.
And I'm Emily Hurley. I'm an assistant professor of population health at the Children's Mercy Research Institute, University of Missouri, Kansas City, and the University of Kansas Medical Center here in Kansas City. In these challenging times, our goal was to bring artists, researchers, and general audiences together in a deeper shared understanding of the pandemic's impact on society. We started by searching scientific journals and drawing out the main messages of peer-reviewed research on the lived experiences of Americans during COVID-19.
COVID Monologues brings together 35 artists and studies by over 100 public health researchers. We selected 8 playwrights through a nationwide application process and tasked them with writing monologues based on this research. We then gathered 5 Baltimore theater companies, including Single Carrot Theater, Two Strikes Theater Collective, Arena Players, Inc., the Strand Theater Company, and Fells Point Corner Theater to create these pieces. Please continue to support these theaters and their work.
This project was made possible by the Citizen Diplomacy Action Fund, sponsored by the U.S. Department of State's Bureau of Educational and Cultural Affairs, and implemented in partnership with the Partners of the Americas. Please go to covidmonologues.com to learn more about the project, share videos, and connect with community organizations. After the show ends, we'll be having a live post-show discussion with artists and project leads about the process of translating public health into theater. In the spirit of research, we encourage you to please complete the post-performance survey by scanning the QR code on your screen with your phone camera or by clicking the link in the chat.
Before the show begins, please join us in a moment of silence for the 519,000 Americans and 2.5 million people globally who have lost their lives to COVID-19. After that moment of silence, we'll be immediately starting the video of COVID Monologues. Thank you.
What has given these people the permission to think that they know better than science and every single qualified authority?
This is the result of a media that nobody can trust. I still do not know the truth.
But we don't even know how the virus is spread.
A dear friend is in a coma with coronavirus. He's under 40 and was in excellent condition.
I just went to a crowded Red Robin for lunch, and I'm 30. It was delicious. And I took my sweet time eating my meal because this is America,
is an attack
and I
on
will
our
do
rights.
what I want.
Specifically, our right to peacefully assemble is being infringed upon.
I hate how conservatives have turned a global pandemic into their little personal freedom and victimization.
We must
tantrum.
absolutely resist any government that runs amok and takes advantage of a crisis. This is how your liberty dies. Stand up, America, and resist.
I'm afraid I have a confession to make of Catholic proportions. I honestly don't know the first thing about playing chess. I suppose I get the gist of it as a metaphor for one's life choices. According to my Netflix binge watch of The Queen's Gambit, most chess pieces can only move up or down the board or sideways without any real sense of ingenuity. But there are exceptions where some can move diagonally and others still can magically gallop around the board in every which way, like horses, which I assume are the pieces that, well, are carved to look like horses. It all makes perfect sense as a strategy for danger avoidance, for survival, if you will. When confronted head-on with an insurmountable obstacle, you find a way to drastically change who and where you are. And so, in response, these carved horses possess the critical skill to pivot, to detour, to radically move out of harm's way. But what about us? How do we survive today when we're surrounded by all sides? When a pandemic's reach is relentlessly encroaching our lives from every direction, quietly oozing into every single nook and cranny of what your normal used to be. So then tell me, what then is your next move? Did you know in George Orwell's 1984, Winston, the main protagonist, is stuck in a totalitarian regime that controls every aspect of social life? What people say and who they say it to, how people spend each and every minute. It's all overseen and well documented by their leaders. And clearly, there are some literary parallels that can be drawn to our present day lives. But that said, even more intriguing to me is his central concept of doublethink. The ability to simultaneously hold on to two contradictory thoughts in your head and yet believe them both to be true at the same time. Call it a mental last resort, a cerebral shift to preserve oneself in a moment of extreme crises. Our collective response as a country to the COVID-19 pandemic and everything socio-political under the sun takes on a larger, much more alarming and cacophonous doublethink, particularly on social media. Constantly at odds and contradicting ourselves at every turn. Masks prevent the spread of the virus versus masks violate our civil liberties. Black Lives Matter versus all lives matter. Vaccination selfies versus disease parties. Systematically defunding the police as a racist institution versus the belief of only a few bad apples. Our incomprehensible, varied views on the historical impact of 8 minutes and 46 seconds. People often like to use the simplified trope of a nation divided to describe us. That civil discourse is down the tubes, that a middle ground must be found. But when white supremacists march with tiki torches in Charlottesville or unkempt, homegrown terrorists storm the Capitol, and the President of the United States publicly claims during a press conference, these are very fine people on both sides. Or in a video tweet, go home now, we have to have peace. We love you. You're very special. Well, then our so-called nation divided has now mutated into a perilous mass scale of doublethink, and that should give us all pause as a people. Biologically speaking, every living thing needs warmth from others. Even the biggest and most beastly of us. Wolves travel in packs, orca whales in pods, lions in prides, elephants in parades. Oh, how joyous it must all be. But how do we meaningfully curate our lives and congregate together when we are currently swamped in isolation? The coronavirus has hit us like a Fukushima tsunami, my friends, a near nuclear disaster that has swept us all away from ourselves and each other, changing how we interact with each other on radioactive proportions. I mean, with all of the social distancing recommendations and regulations placed upon us, though medically speaking, completely prudent and practical, we nonetheless pay a price. A pivot has ultimately been forced upon us, for better or worse. Taking on Zoom meetings in your underwear, or Facebook posting of our latest dinner concoctions, juice-filled focaccia with broccolini and squash blossom. Mwah! Really? Puppy pics? Sharing your newfound medical expertise, because apparently we're all now doctors in white coats these days, writing prescriptions of misinformation, conspiracy theories, and outright lies. It seems that for many of us, we've taken to social media to find that middle ground within ourselves, or at least in rock bottom terms, to figure out how to curate our own misery. Ironically, numbers often have a way of naming things that words cannot. Identifying trends from 30,000 feet that a poetic paragraph cannot. For instance, did you know social media platforms have seen a 61% uptick in usage as people try their best these days to stay intimately connected with family, friends, and colleagues? It's true. Tin Can and String, like Facebook and Instagram, have seen a 40% increase from February to March 2020 alone. And communication apps like Messenger and WhatsApp have seen a 70% increase during this period too. Truth be told, research has also shown that how we choose to portray ourselves on social media, it's not really how we see ourselves. Oh no, not really when we're staring in the mirror at 3 a.m. or watching Netflix for so damn long that it actually has the audacity to pause itself and ask, are you still watching? We have mentally become our own overseers at this point, always opting to publicly wear our Sunday bests on social media these days. But why? Is this some sort of virtual survival mode of carving our own horse in the moment? Or are we all just broken timepieces that keep ticking on the same second, as if stuck on an idea of who we wish we were? But don't get it wrong, this COVID-19 pandemic does not put us all in the same boat. According to an Instagram post I most recently read, we're all in the same storm. But some of us have yachts, and others of us have slowly sinking rowboats in need of a plug. And yet, even still, some of us are just drowning. Alone, quietly, with no life preserver in sight. By the end of 1984, Winston is found playing chess by himself in misery. His loneliness has finally taken over all aspects of his life. His abilities to meaningfully interact with others have finally slipped away, and his face plainly shows it. A twisted concoction of every human emotion imaginable. His crow's feet are wrinkles through time, dreams now a million charred, hopes gone up in smoke. He is lost in himself. He has lost who he is. Winston can no longer see his next move, but worse, he can't even see the board. Here's your caveat. When playing chess, after your very first move, there are then over 400 possible new positions. New metaphorical life choices for you to consider. After 2, almost 72,000. After 3, almost 9 million. And after 4, billions. That's right, billions. So then tell me, what then is your next move? Take your time. Think it through.
Hi! Hi! Hey everybody! Thanks for joining! I just washed my face. Hey, Boba Brett! What time is it here? 3:02 p.m. I'm gonna record some POVs later, so I figured I would just do a little get ready with me live. So you all could see how I get ready for these things, and we could just, hang out. I don't have a lot planned, so we can just chat. I'm gonna play the supportive out queer character in these POVs, so I'm not gonna do anything too bold, just, what I would normally do if I was casually going anywhere anymore. Yeah, so I'm gonna start with just a little foundation because we want to be poreless. We're just gonna erase those pores. What are your favorite POVs? Let's see. Lately, I've been watching a lot of Your Korean Dad. He's just so sweet. Actually, the way that I found him is someone did a duet with him, and it was one of those ones where he's like just going grocery shopping and then makes you dinner. So sweet, right? And the person who did the duet with him just like laid in bed the whole time he was grocery shopping and just like cried. And then like I started to cry, like watching them cry, and I was like, should I duet this with me crying? But then I didn't because I started to laugh because like it's weird, right? Like I don't cry in front of anyone, like period. Like I don't go to therapy or anything. Like I mean, there was like a counseling center at school, but like none of my friends went. I don't know. I'm like kind of uncomfortable. Like I don't know anyone who went. Like none of my friends go to therapy. And like now with the pandemic, I'm like stuck at my mom's house and like maybe I would do it at home, like do the whole online thing, but I don't know. My mom is like not super supportive of me being queer, and like I love her a lot, but she's really unsupportive. And, she would have to pay for it. And I would just be so afraid of her, like, overhearing or, like, asking about it. And I, like, definitely don't cry in front of my mom. Like, ever. But, I don't know, doing it on TikTok just felt, like, fine. Like, not weird, which I guess is weird. Oh, thanks for the gift, Candy B! Oh my god! Everyone check out Candy B! Yeah, so I just did my brows with the pencil, and now I'm just gonna put on some mascara. My mom, she is like an essential worker. So like, yeah, the pandemic has been like really hard on her. And like, I guess I'm worried a little bit because like the virus is scary, but like my mom's out in it like every day. And I guess like it's part of why I love her. Like, maybe she can't fully accept me, but like she really loves people, And I mean, I don't think people really think of it that way, or at least no one did before the pandemic, but she's out there taking care of people, and people are the worst right now. Like, especially in Texas, like, everyone refuses to wear a mask. Like, people don't believe it's real, and like, the other day, someone yelled at my mom, like, as if she came up with the virus. And like, when my mom told me that, I thought she was gonna cry. She didn't, but like, yeah, I don't know. My mom's like just like really afraid of getting COVID, but like specifically giving it to me. Like, she's always worried about like work and me and like, I don't know, what work do I have to like worry about, like online classes? I'm gonna put some texture in my hair with just a little leave-in conditioner. Oh my god, thanks for the gifts! Rixpley, Mac Attack, thanks so much. Everyone make sure to check them out. Has school been hard? Oh yeah, god. Ugh, I don't know how other people are handling it, but I'm just like not. Like, I just like cannot focus. And like, I like online. I am very online, like, obviously. But yeah, I don't know. I just like can't focus on it. Like, I feel like I learn more from history TikTok than I do from my classes. Like, I like failed like 3 out of 4 of my exams like really badly. And like that got me like rethinking my whole like major and like my entire life. And I don't know, it's just like crazy. I like feel like my professors are giving more work than they did when we were in person. And like a lot of it is just participation, like, did you watch the lecture? Did you take notes during class? But I don't know, it's all just like compressed. Like, it's just really messing up my like sleep schedule. Like, I stayed up late a lot when I was at school, but like I was doing work, like I really was. But now I'm just like up all night scrolling TikTok or watching YouTube or watching streamers, and like then I'll wake up so early, or I'll like, I don't know, go to bed like really early, but then wake up really late. I don't know, it's all just so weird. And like, I don't even know if my mom will let me like go to school if it's in person next semester, which is like its whole other worrying thing. And like, I get why she's scared, but like, I don't know, I just like haven't seen my friends in months, and like it's just my mom and me here. I'm just like stuck with me and my mom. And I just have like no queer people to talk to. I mean, except you beautiful, beautiful freaks. But I don't know, text and DMs and FaceTime, it's just not the same. I've just been thinking lately, like, I wish I had someone to, I don't know, just been thinking about, like, where am I gonna be in 5 years? And, like, how much time have I actually lost during all this? And like, how do people, I don't know, like, how, oh crap. I guess my mom came home early. I'll catch up with everyone later. Hopefully I'll still be able to record these POVs and get them out soon. Thanks for joining, everyone, and thanks so much for the gifts. It means a lot to have people to talk to. Bye. Mwah.
Thank you for watching this very special episode of Simone Serving. Make sure you like and subscribe because I have new videos coming out every Monday, Wednesday, and Friday. Until then, stay blessed and stay safe. And that's how the magic happens. Ain't no fancy bells or whistles, just some good old truth telling. Now, since we're making this BTS video, I think I should answer the one question I get asked over and over again. How in the hell did your old ass end up making videos for the YouTube? Well, it wasn't my fault. Y'all can blame Dr. Garcia. I was due for my annual checkup, and I was so paranoid about going out and getting sick that I gave him a call to find out their safety precautions. They told me I didn't even need to come in. We could do the checkup over the computer. They called it telemedicine. Now, I don't know about y'all, but I'm old school. I like seeing my doctor face to face, make sure ain't no alcohol on their breath or some funny business happening. But people are out in the street acting a fool, so I thought, why not? First, I had to get my grandbaby to teach me how to get my computer hooked up. Once I did, I felt like a whole new world opened up. Just so y'all know, technology ain't never been my forte. When I grew up, you had to turn the channel, you had to walk over to the TV and turn the knob. Don't know nothing about no iPod, pad, or whatever they're called. These kids nowadays grow up with these gadgets attached to their bodies 24/7. Walk into any pediatrician's office, and you see all the babies holding some kind of electronics. The only technology you're gonna see me with is my CD player, spinning a Luther Vandross greatest hit CD. Bum bum, bum bum, dum, dum, dum. Bum bum. Let me stop messing with y'all. So my grandbaby Lexus told me that I could learn all kinds of tips and tricks off YouTube. Child, that was all I needed. Taught myself all kinds of things. How to make falafel, the best places to travel in Europe, and how to start a YouTube channel. I know some of y'all judge me because I'm old, but I'm more adaptable than you think. So to bring it all back, I called up Dr. Garcia and I told her how I was doing, and she told me that I need to start eating better and find some way to get some exercise during this pandemic. All of those baking videos I've been watching on YouTube are catching up to me, I'll confess. I let it slip that I was eating so much sugar because I was feeling lonely and I needed sweets, gave me something to be excited about. These past 9 months ain't been easy. I miss laughing with my friends after church. My grandson's friend, Sean, died of the COVID. And I couldn't even go to the funeral to see that my baby was okay. Sean wasn't but 13 years old. He had real bad asthma. He was always feeling kind of sick. And on top of that, my friend Shirley is dealing with breast cancer right now. Can I be there for her? No. I tell all this to the doctor, and she tells me that I'm depressed. Depressed? Child, when has life not been depressing? She asked me if I had a Facebook, and I told her no. My kids never wanted me to join, said I would join and annoy them, commenting on all their posts. She asked me the same question about Instagram, Twitter, and something called TikTok. Once again, I say no. She tells me that social media is a good way to stay in touch with people from a distance and that I should think about joining. I tell her I need to look up how to use this fancy phone my daughter gave me. And she says, the doctor says no. I'll show you myself. She showed me how to use FaceTime, and now I can't stop. I FaceTime my grandbabies, and it feels so good to see their faces. Oh, what I wouldn't do to have them here huddled up in my living room. I ain't seen them since February. Oh, look at that. I already got my first comment. Hey, Simone. Love your positivity. Thank you for being a shining light in these dark times. Well, ain't that just the sweetest? I gotta give a shout out to my fans all over the world. Taiwan, Morocco, Timbuktu. Y'all make me feel loved, like I'm not so lonely. I guess I'm becoming a bit of an influencer. Before I learned how to use all these things, I thought an influencer was someone who got you hooked on drugs. Turns out, it's just someone who gets free shit for posting things on the internet. Only in America. Well, let me put this thing away. I see why my grandkids stare at these screens all day. These gadgets got some kind of mind control. I guess it's because everything's virtual nowadays. You gotta stream to watch a movie, to go to school, to work. You know some people dating over the computer now. Don't even have to meet up no more. What's this world coming to? Now, what was I talking about before my phone vibrated? I get so forgetful these days. Lord, I'm like the old ladies in the movies. Oh, my doctor's appointment. So anyway, a few weeks later, I call up Dr. Garcia, and I tell her that I'm loving being online, but I'm still not feeling too good. I'm feeling kind of anxious and still don't have much to be excited about. I just sit up in the house all day watching CNN until my boo, Chris Cuomo, comes on with his fine ass. Woo! I love me some Italian men. Reminds me of a boyfriend I had in college, Tony. Oh, where was I? So the doctor says that she's seeing some troubling signs, and had I thought about seeing a therapist? A therapist? And when she said that, I had to lean back. What the hell do I have to talk about with a therapist? They ain't gonna tell me nothing I don't know. I don't want people to think I'm helpless, and I damn sure ain't weak. But Dr. Garcia says, your insurance covers it, so you don't have nothing to lose. So I'm on the phone with a therapist when she asks me, what do I want to do in life? What is my goal, my objective? I had to take a moment to think about this. Nobody has asked me something like that before. I don't even think I've asked myself. I think I want to uplift. Make sure the people in my life get through this. I know I'll be fine. I've been washing my hands my whole life. That's how I was brought up. Been using Purells since before I went out of stock. Been wearing a mask my whole life too. Not a physical one, but the mask us black folks have to wear. Ain't nothing new about this for me. The plague changes, but the remedy stays the same. Compassion for one another, shared responsibility, and listening to Dr. Fauci. You see, people think because you're old, you're helpless. Being old isn't hard. It's how society looks at you that's hard. This world is built for young people. Older people like me are meant to be invisible. We walk too slow, or we're too out of touch to be included in the conversation. I didn't come up with technology, but somehow it's my fault that I don't know how to hook up to the Wi-Fi. These young people might be more connected with social media, but they're less connected in real life. I'm not scared of the virus. I'm scared of the people who don't care. I watch TV and I see all these talking heads try to put a dollar amount on the value of my life. They don't care and talk about the actual real people dying. All they want to talk about is the economy and the cost of the shutdown. What about the cost to our humanity? We're all suffering. It's hard for all of us who want to keep on keeping on, because isolation is not a singular thing. I turned 65 this year. 65. Lived longer than most of my family. But did I have a big whoop-de-doo? No. I did the right thing. I stayed home where I know I'm safe. Because people out here ain't social distancing no more. They be all up on you. That's why I only go shopping during the special senior shopping hours at the local grocery store. Now the employees be looking at me sideways like I'm too young to be in there at 7 in the morning. A black don't crack, but a damn sure ages like some cognac. Oh snap, my grandbaby's calling me. Y'all getting 2 for the price of 1 today. Hey, sweetie. Well, ain't my video good? Well, ain't that what y'all doing these days, these try-on hauls or whatever they call? I see these young girls trying on their clothes and they get 1 million views off of it. Fine. I hear you. Okay, look, I'll talk to you later. All right? Bye. Don't know what the issue is. They want a granny that stays home all day and knits scarves. Well, that ain't me. I'm gonna live my life. If I wanna strip butt naked and make an OnlyFans, I'll do it. You know what OnlyFans is, don't you? It's the site where people pay to see your nasty photos. This actress, Bella Thorne, I think her name is, made $1 million in a day. Shit. I should be able to make a couple hundred then. Who am I kidding? Ain't nobody gonna be spending no $9.99 a month to see all this. See, my kids never call me unless they want to complain about something. Everybody's stressing me out about their problems, but don't nobody ask me how I'm doing. They never called me this much before, but now they only calling because they feel guilty. They never texted me, but now they want to make sure I'm good. But you know, when all of this is over, they're gonna go right back to the way they used to be. On TikTok, all day making videos. But this time, they got some new competition.
What up, folks? I got you some new updates from the epicenter here itself in the NYC. First off, total shout out to my bro Jorge for hooking the stuff up with some authentic ass NYC bagels. His mom just whips them up. Good. That is what you do with a bagel. You whip it, right? Sorry, the wrong day. Anyways, for those of you new to my channel, I am Dr. Alana. Check out my real credentials with #VerifyHealthcare and know that I am an actual ICU physician, like with a degree from a real school. Shocking on the internet, I know. Anyways, I am here to answer your healthcare questions and give your daily update as per usual. Now that we're a few months into the pandemic, most of my long-term listeners know that I've been assigned to leave my cozy home and move into a hotel room for my first time in the NYC. Normally, I'd plan to have my butt planted in a Broadway seat, chowing down on a streetcar hot dog. Well, I guess I could still get that pandemic hot dog, but there is a pandemic out there, so. Anyways, I picked up something new today at work, and it was not COVID. It was a dance for TikTok. Okay. I'm a set. For real though. Oh god, coming home to that sweet 7 p.m. clap on the street. Not chlamydia, the applause. I see you in the comments. Dude, people are escalating that shit up. They're using pots and pans. Some guy whipped out an air horn. What will tomorrow bring? A sax solo? A string quartet? And you all know Dr. Macho because I complained about him constantly. Dude, guys, he fucking cried. Real man tears because he heard those cheers. I did not know he had it in him. Okay, we have a question from at Mudbutt70. What keeps you going through all the chaos? Well, MB70, I'll tell you. It can sometimes feel like I'm living in a movie out here. Like, it's eerie. You know, when we get back to the hotel, there's just like no one on the street and a lot of stuff isn't lit up and it just feels like post-apocalyptic. But seriously, I get flowers every couple of days. I take walks on these empty streets and come on, we have the best food in America right here in the NYC, and I promise I am eating good. And if you know what's up, drop those takeout recs in the comments below. Which reminds me, you won't believe this, guys, but some dumbass had a resist medical tyranny sign outside the hospital today. Like, what? Like, TBH. I didn't actually read the sign, so I thought it said something about a Tyrannosaurus Rex, which we all know is my favorite dino, but for real, sick people could see him outside the hospital windows and everything. Shameless, man. And I know what else made my day today. We got a huge shipment of homemade masks today. Like, I was a little dubious at first, like, who made these, and did they wash their hands before touching the fabric, but I loved them. They were gorgeous. We wore them. Thank you so much to Carla Johnson from Sioux City, North Dakota. Lady, we were reusing that PPE till it was nasty. Who's really the hero here? And not to mention, huge shout out to the janitorial staff, restaurateurs, waste collectors, food harvesters, grocery store workers. You are the real MVPs. You're picking up the trash, you're cleaning the roads, you're just keeping the city running. We signed up to hang out with sick people in medical school. You all did not. We get PPE and a paid hotel, and you still have to take the subway to your homes in Jersey. I see you. Oh, okay, and I see you at Cats for Life 97. I heard hospitals were taking PPE from freaky sex cults. Is that true? I would refuse to use whatever came from those people. Well, cat hoarder, that's 80% comment, 20% question, but I will take it. Yes, we did receive donations from some fetish communities, and honestly, I feel like that just points to how crazy this that we're taking people's sexy time props for our patients and all. Honestly, maybe an N95 will be turning all of us on by the end of this thing. Okay, at Nurse Joan 99. Oh, hey, a fellow healthcare worker. What up? Okay. Honestly, so thankful for telemedicine right now. What would we do without it? Dude, I know. I FaceTime patients to their fam on rounds. If you would have told me that I would be teaching an old dude how to Zoom with his fam on rounds while his charming 90-year-old wife is nonchalantly changing bras in the background. Yikes. Okay. Okay, at Mockdoc 8. How can you participate in a conspiracy like this? Shame on you for using your platform to advocate for the CDC, Center for Disinformation and Control. Fuck you. Great. Well, Mock Doc? I don't know how you feel when you see 3 sick people to a hospital room, all over 70, and you know that there is nothing you can do to stop their deaths. What about prisoners paid $2 an hour to move bodies, double bagging to prevent the fluid leaking because the dead can still infect them? Sprinkling coffee on the coffin so that you can't smell the dead, and mass grave sites filling in 2 months that were supposed to last all year long. Why aren't we showing more of that? When your nursing staff is positive for COVID-19 but asymptomatic, so that they're required to show to work, but they're holding hands with the worst fear that they may be the reason a patient becomes infected and dies. Or when you have to tell that charming, bra-changing 90-year-old wife that her husband and partner of 60 years unfortunately passed several hours ago. No one could be in the room at the time. We had other emergencies. We are sure he was as comfortable as he could be. As he spent his last minutes looking for her, anyone to be with him, as he gasped for breath. How about how there's just no time to process stress, and that how we can't even see our own children because we're afraid that we might infect them, that we're scared our toddler might not recognize us when we get home, and how he keeps calling for mom because he doesn't understand what a fucking video call is. feel disposable. Just like the PPE they tell us to reuse and reuse and reuse and throw away. The truth is, I'm not a hero. And I hate being called one. I didn't agree to this in med school. Heroes? They have a choice. They choose their task. I didn't choose this. And I can't even tell you if this goes on for 6 months, we'll be out of energy. Our standard best of care will be to put you in a room with other sick people and hope that you might make it. We might not even have energy to hope anymore. You put all the responsibility on healthcare workers. Like, if you just support them, then this will just all go away. But our hard work means fucking nothing when you choose to see people, not wear masks, and generally mouth breathe over everything. That's on you! And freaking maskne, it's real. I'm sorry, guys. I don't know how to tell you that this is real. Okay. Question from @Gangi. Does your hospital offer mental health care because it looks like you need it? Who the fuck has time, Gangi? Another question. Rough stuff. Anyways, can you do that TikTok dance again?
Hello, members of the Grace Church Community Council. I've missed your faces. Pastor Marks, thank you for opening the chapel to host this important meeting about COVID-19. They said we could gather together in small groups, so here we are, guided by spirit and by the strength of our leadership.
Amen.
Amen. I also want to give thanks to the Lord that I am alive today. As you all know, I am a nurse by profession, but some of you may not know that back in March, I tested positive for COVID-19.
Oh, no.
Yes. It was such an eye-opening experience. I told the doctor I was in pain. He did not believe me. I said
I was in pain. And he underestimated me. Why was my pain not real? Why did he think I was imagining my pain? When in fact, I know that my pain is centuries old. I told him that I couldn't breathe, that every time I took a deep breath, it felt like 1,000 needles were piercing me through my chest. I told him my throat and neck were swollen. He asked me if I was suffering from any stress. I said, well, who isn't? He then said in a nonchalant tone, Naomi? Did I say that right? Great. It looks like it's just a panic attack. I said, no, this isn't anxiety, sir. I can't taste anything, and I lost my sense of smell. He then asked me about my pre-existing conditions and family history. I was growing really tired of his overt biases towards me, so I was like, well, let me see, doctor. I got conditions embedded into my DNA that I ain't even asked for. Meanwhile, I'm living a healthy life. I can't say much about my family history, but I do know that it's comprised of systemic racism, poverty, redlining, food apartheid, PTSD, and trauma. He then interrupted me with, I'm guessing that also includes diabetes, high blood pressure, cardiovascular problems, asthma, and depression, right? I looked at him real hard and said, Doctor, you may not recognize me, but I work on the 3rd floor in pediatrics, and I know we have a limited supply, but you need to test me for COVID-19 ASAP. He was like a deer in headlights. He left the room to grab a COVID test, and all I kept thinking about was if I was a regular Black patient, he would have sent me home with a psych referral. He came back in, shoved that swab up my nose, and told me to go home and quarantine for a week until I got my results. A week. Now, mind you, this was in early March, right before DC started shutting down. So I panicked. I was out of sick days, I already took my vacation, and I only had one personal day left. The White House had just declared a global pandemic, and I am an essential worker. If I don't work, will I lose my job? And if I get really sick, who's gonna feed my 3 kids and my diabetic mother with dementia? I'm a widow, and I got family down south. Who was gonna help me? How could I quarantine at home without putting my family in danger? They weren't trying to give me a bed at the hospital. And when my results came in positive, they just told me to quarantine at home and to come back if my symptoms got worse. But where was I supposed to heal? By the grace of God, I stand here today before you as a survivor who had a generous coworker who let me quarantine in her guest bedroom. And while I was away, my mother's home health aide volunteered to work longer days and even slept over some nights. She considers us family. Even my oldest son, who just turned 17, stepped up and took care of his siblings. Lord knows how scary those days were as I laid up in a strange bed, not being able to fully breathe. But I thank God I had family who looked out for me. This is what community does, my people. I gathered us here today because I need you all to realize that what we are experiencing is a capitalistic pandemic. It is imperative that we take immediate action. But before I go on, let me ask y'all some validating questions. Raise your hand if the following is true for you. Once your hands are raised, please keep them up high in the air. How many of you have ever felt that your healthcare institution did not prioritize your health? How many times did a doctor refuse to give you pain medication because they didn't think your pain was severe enough, even during childbirth or a major surgery? How many of you have faced health discrimination because of your pre-existing conditions? How many of you do not trust this government? That's right. Every hand is up, and it's within reason. Why should we trust this government with our health?
Amen.
Remember when all those nurses were furloughed back in April? I wasn't one of them, but I was disheartened by the fact that the hospitals were firing nurses during a national health crisis. This is because hospitals are businesses, my people.
That's right.
And just like a business, preventing bankruptcy during a pandemic means you must cut costs like staff salaries. And here's the catch-22. Some sources revealed that many hospital CEOs were pocketing extra money. If you're wondering how that's possible, just look at the CARES Act. For those who are unfamiliar, the CARES Act is the Coronavirus Aid, Relief, and Economic Security Act, which designated a total of $175 billion for COVID-19 response efforts. It offered reimbursement to healthcare entities for expenses or lost revenues. Hospitals were allocated $100 billion from the act itself, an additional $75 billion in loans from the Paycheck Protection Program. Interestingly enough, most of the multi-million-dollar PPP loans were granted to private and nonprofit hospitals with less than 500 employees. Not surprising, huh? However, the real downfall of the CARES Act is that funding allocation was based on past revenue. This disadvantaged many hospitals in underrepresented areas because Black, Indigenous, people of color populations generate lower revenues due to underinsurance and undertreatment. This is why the hospitals in our communities are receiving less relief right now. Did they even consider that we're the ones that need the relief the most? Did it not matter? As I mentioned earlier, this is a capitalistic pandemic, a clear case of racial capitalism. It's ironic, right? This CARES Act, they don't care about pre-existing conditions. They don't care that we take public transportation every day. They don't care that we live in inclusionary zoning and affordable dwelling units that tightly house hundreds of low-income families in every building. They don't care that the majority of us are considered essential workers and are putting our lives on the line. These are the social issues that we face every day. And this is why Black and Latino people are dying at disproportionate rates. The most blatant truth to reckon with right now is that COVID-19 is not an isolated health issue in our community. For years and years, racial capitalism has been the cause of health inequalities in the United States. Our lives have been devalued because of the color of our skin and socioeconomic statuses. The evidence is right under your nose. Just take Flint, Michigan as an example. Take a look at our history. The Tuskegee experimentation on Black bodies, the sterilization of Puerto Rican women. The list is long and traumatic. But look around you, family. Look at this community. We gotta depend on each other so we can grow and survive. As the city continues to shut down this summer, some of our immediate goals should be assisting neighbors who are vulnerable to the heat and to be on the lookout for families who are living in abusive homes. Pastor Marks has graciously offered a few air-conditioned rooms at the rectory, so let's make sure we get the right people in them. Miss Gloria couldn't join us today, but she sent an email that suggested supermarket runs for the sick and elderly. I think that's a great idea, and we should organize it soon. Underneath your chairs, you'll find some cards and pencils. Let's take a few moments to write down some ideas about other services and programs that we can offer. And if you got any fundraising thoughts, those are welcome too. I'll give you all about 5 minutes to brainstorm, and then we can share our responses.
Good idea.
And family, I just want to remind you that we are descendants of survivors. Let's keep our faith strong and fight this thing. Let's work towards building a future that values Black pain.
Amen. Tell him.
Yes, sister.
Hello, creeps. It's me, obviously. Welcome to Scary Science, episode 74, Headspace. I'm sending this out into the universe in this, the year of our Lord, COVID. In case you're curious, yes, I am in actual hell, trapped in this rat hole with the biggest, filthiest rats, my brothers. This is why people murdered their families in those dusty old Victorian novels, because families are the worst and probably deserved poisoned tea cakes or getting suffocated by doilies or whatever they did back then between fainting and rubbing arsenic all over their face. The Victorians were dark. Someday we'll talk about trepanning. So very dark, my darklings. But now, I kind of get it. Anyway, in case you're like, why are your thoughts turned to murder, Angel? This is why. This morning, I was up early reading the Times and the American Journal of Medicine, and some other scientific journals, also Femme and Splatter, because science and horror and fashion and feminism are my jam. I'm multifaceted and complicated. Don't judge, or do, whatever. I obviously don't have accounts, so I'm like so poor, but paywalls are just suggestions, right? Right. Information should be free. As you know, I'm a big super fan of Tsai Ing-wen, president of Taiwan, first female head of state, all for gay marriage, universal health care, free Wi-Fi, totally into her cats, and she's killing it on the COVID shit. I mean, don't get me wrong, I'm all for Jacinda Ardern of New Zealand. She's got big environmental chops, and y'all know that makes me whoozy with the crush vibes, but Tsai Ing-wen is my girl. Contact tracing. Yes. I'm gonna grow my hair into a bob, get clear frame glasses, and be her. So, this morning, I read a study in the Journal of Applied Psychology about how women-led nations have managed to control the virus more efficiently. Which was like, right? About time you all said it, though. States with women governors have had less COVID-19 related deaths than those with male governors. The numbers were there because of all kinds of factors, like women knowing how to navigate crises and build coalitions, which is true. I mean, for example, I'm a girl in an American patriarchal crap high school. My whole life is navigating crises. And I built a coalition between me and the kids in 6C to avoid the lady in 12B who drinks too much peach schnapps and wants to cry on you. We have a whole system of code words and hand signals. So yeah, women are super at these things because survival. Anyways, it was a big morning because then I read another study about how even so, women are screwed in leadership, which is no surprise at all. You all remember I ran for class president last year. I founded our high school's debate team and our dissection club and the Friends of Chemistry Student Union, and I still lost to Edwin Mercado. Yep. Because he promised everybody his brother would DJ our prom. I mean, fine. His brother is kind of famous, and he has this long, curly mustache that he waxes and oils and maybe glues into place. But what about the issues? Someone almost died from the nachos last year, and we rank 45th out of 46 in academics in our state. People literally can't read, getting passed on up and out. I campaigned on food safety and rigorous academic standards, and I still lost by 99%. I think the 1% was me. It was pretty sad. But I told myself, I said, Angel, one day you'll run a real campaign, and you'll be mayor, then governor, then Speaker of the House. I mean, maybe. I used to be sure. But it's getting harder to think it'll happen now. You know, because it's the end of the world. Probably. Anyways, I was up this morning, and my brother Elias rolls into the room, mostly asleep, smelling like wet socks, and crying about breakfast. He has a real boogery, crying face, wet and slimy, and he makes this weird hiccuping sound like a walrus. It's disgusting. And he knows I have to make him whatever because Mom's at work, and I'm Mom Junior now, which is officially the suck. I didn't birth this kid. I don't want this kid. It's stupid and unfair. I mean, I'm easily the smartest in the family. I've never dipped below a 4.0, but yeah, sure, make me babysit this gorilla. He's 7. He should be able to babysit himself. When I was 7, I had the periodic table memorized and I could pick a lock. Either way, it's a crime because I have another brother who's older than me. And why can't he babysit the beast? Because he's a boy. That's why. I hate him. My mom's so weird about that. She says, we don't hate in this family. But what if I do hate him? Then what? Just keep it locked up inside myself? That's how people get cancer. Fact. Anyways, he doesn't have to know how to cook a pot roast or wash underwear. He can just hide in his room all day and pretend to be online in class when I know he's playing Call of Duty. And how do I know? Because I put his Zoom on a loop to look like he's in class nodding and taking notes. And I even have him meaningly clearing his throat every 45 minutes. Call me complicit, but he did pay me $50 and I'm saving up. Someday when the plague's over, I'm moving out. Way out, far away. Maybe New Zealand. Did you know they allow high school students to experiment with uranium? And they were the first place to allow women to vote, and they have kiwis and volcanoes. I'm gonna at least visit Taiwan, try and meet President Tsai Ing-wen. Maybe wave to her from the Festival of Hungry Ghosts, and then we could chat about international trade law and drink bubble tea. Anyway, my older brother Tristan doesn't have to do anything around here, and I have to make sure the baby gets a bottle and gets changed, and the 7-year-old checks in for school. Pretty much everything. And what about me? No one cares if I go to school. I'm just a servant. I told her, Mom, I'm in advanced trig. Yeah, I could get a scholarship. I could be the first one to go to college. And she said, yeah, but don't you want babies, Angel? I don't know. Not if they're as
bitty as my stupid brothers. I mean, it's just us. My dad's been gone since my brother was born, and if you knew my brother, you'd understand. He's almost 100% stink. The rest of him is fart noises. Anyways, who knows where our dad is, and my mom pays for us all just working at the grab and sack. Even before the plague, it was shit. And now we have to be locked up all the time, like prisoners or zoo animals or aquarium fish or those medieval people who were buried alive. And I have to watch all the babies because nobody can take them. The daycare is closed, and the after-school stuff, well, there's no school, so there's no after either, you know? Even when my mom is home, she's too tired. Lots of nights she's asleep on the sofa before I can even tell her all the crap the 7-year-old busted. I get it. Grab and sack's a real hole. Half the customers don't wear masks. A lady stuck her thumb in the bag boy's eye just for asking her to pull her mask up over her nose. He has to wear an eye patch. Maybe get a new eyeball now. Either way, my mom, she goes through it. Sometimes she comes home and just locks herself in the bedroom. I feel bad. But also, it makes me mad. You know, I don't get to lock myself in my room. What if this plague never ends? What if I never catch up with the rich kids that get to have teachers that live with them? Like Edwin Mercado? His parents are legit paying our chemistry teacher to quarantine with him. He's gonna know everything next year. I mean, I turn on the classes, but it's impossible. Staring at a screen all day affects the synapses. I'm getting stupider. I can feel it. And this is the first time ever I missed homework on account that the 7-year-old was crying. I don't know why. Kids just cry, don't they? It's like they know how crappy the world is already. So I missed most of advanced bio, and now I'll never understand symbiosis. Not really. And anyways, the fetal pig dissection is virtual now, which is super disappointing. Virtual is not the same. Not for fetal pigs. Not for anything. I'm self-supporting. You know, I've got like 1,000 online things that I'm into. Dinosaurs, beheadings, yellow fever. But I miss actual things. My best friends don't text back. It's like I'm on red for days. I mean, maybe we're not even best friends anymore. It's like I'm on a spaceship circling around all the fun things we used to do, and I can't touch any of it. If this is ever over, we'll all be different. I mean, I've had like 5 different hairstyles, and I can bake Irish soda bread, but I never wanted any of that. Some kids, they've snuck out, you know, to parties. Which is disgusting. I mean, you really need to drink warm beer next to someone doused in Axe body spray so bad that you'd kill your whole family? Gross. But just because I wouldn't be a plague rat doesn't mean I don't miss everything. The other day, I started crying, thinking about first period gym class. I had like a hallucination of the smell of gym mats, that musty, sweaty smell of generations of kids suffering. And I lost my shit. I hate gym class. But it was normal. Just normal. Awful. Not like awful now. Anyway, thanks for listening. I'm gonna get on with the podcast now. Episode 74. Can you transplant a human head? Should you?
Hey, Jim, it's me. It's Lisa. It's Tuesday, I guess. Well, they opened the farmer's market up again, and I thought maybe I might come down here and give you a call. I heard a rumor that Ella from the cheese shop is going to be here, and I was thinking maybe I could grab some of that fancy cheddar for the crab dip. Whole supermarket was out of cheese. You wouldn't believe it, all the empty shelves. Couldn't even get the shredded kind in the bag. But if we could do the cheese dip, well, that'll help when we reopen. 6 feet. Keep your distance. Sorry. People are ignorant, walking around with their noses hanging out. Now, I'm standing right here near the sign that says Farmer's Market Wednesday. Shit. I told you it was Tuesday, didn't I? I must have lost a day. Don't worry about us. I know you worry about all of us. That's your job. You're the work dad. But I'm fine. I have hand sanitizer. You know, I was afraid to leave my building, all those door handles. I put signs on the door saying keep open. Would you believe they sent out an email saying that open doors are a hazard? I wanted to march in there and let them know that all of life is a hazard. But I got smart. Oh, I got gloves. Yeah. Vince stole these from his work when they laid everybody off. Now, you can't see, but everybody is jealous of me. Yeah. Vince got laid off, too. We are back on Snap. I thought, well, when he got that job with the bus company, it was a good job. I thought things were made. But if the commuter numbers don't go back by June, well, it's permanent. Now, I know it's not your fault, and I know you're going to get the restaurant open just as soon as it's safe. I just never thought that. Well, you helped us out before, and we were doing okay. And then this happened. We're trying. We still got to take care of my mom. I got to drop some food off over there today. Now, I haven't told her what's going on with you. She still doesn't think this is real. Maybe this will scare some sense into her. I had to take her keys to stop her from visiting people. 3 o'clock. Tommy's got math class, and he won't sign in unless I'm next to him. I love him. God. Sometimes I wish I could social distance from them. I heard someone say we got our parents to take care of and our kids. We're the sandwich generation. All comes back to food. Is this thing still on? It's weird being here. Just hearing the background conversation. You don't really get that on Zoom. And people are keeping their distance. Mostly. We all know we gotta look out for each other. No one's coming to save us. Oh, I ordered the kids McDonald's last week. I know, me, gourmet chef and all, and I'm feeding my kids that crap. Eating healthy is expensive. And all that food stuff is cheap compared to eating right. My kids, though. Oh, they went to town on that Big Mac. Faster than they gobble up crab cakes. It shows you. Oh, I got a text message from Heather, sous chef, 4 years ago, remember? Yeah, everybody wanted portobellos, and we kept trying to figure ways to work them into the entrees. I hadn't thought about her in years, but she texted me. She said she was out foraging for mushrooms and she thought about us. I never even thought about that. Finding food and eating it. I mean, it's different for her. She knows mushrooms. If I tried it, I might poison my kids, feeding them some roadside mushrooms. It was good talking to her. It reminded me of all the times we cooked together. That was real. If I could just get some good ingredients to cook with, you know, it might feel normal. You know, I am gonna buy that good cheese, if they have it. Ella said she was here. She checked in on Facebook. I hope her booth takes snap. I'm joshing. I wouldn't waste my money on that. I mean, we don't really get a lot with the food stamps. And you know I'm creative in the kitchen, but it's a challenge, even for me, to make what little we have work. If I could get some really good ingredients, I don't know, it might feel normal. Anyway, just give me a call when you can and when you wake up. I don't know. I don't really know what to say, Jim. I know I'm rambling. It's surreal. You work with someone for 15 years. You see him each day, and then one random Thursday you leave work and you might never see him again. You know I'm better at cooking than I am at talking. And if I could, I would cook you baseball-sized crab cakes. Old Bay, garlic, all the seasonings. Deborah said you lost your sense of taste. Well, no virus ever stood up to my cooking before. Rest, okay? Deborah's worried that when you wake up, you're gonna think, shit, she took me to the hospital. I know you don't like people taking care of you, but you gotta let them, okay? You gotta let them do whatever they need to make you better. Don't worry about bills or the restaurant. You just get off that ventilator, 'cause you can't eat when you're on it. You know, I am gonna buy that cheese. It'll be worth every penny to see you eat it once you've kicked COVID's ass. We'll cook again soon. Deborah, thank you. I got the Cash App you sent, and I really appreciate it. We have to take care of each other, you know? Don't worry about the bills. We'll put together a fundraiser when the restaurant reopens. I'll start planning it. Something to look forward to. I think it was good for him to hear about the restaurant. I hope. I know he'll wake up.
leave it to you to die of the wrong disease during a pandemic. Come on, man. It's 2020, not 1986. You're supposed to die of COVID, not AIDS, dumbass. It's weird coming in here one at a time, you know? I mean, couldn't I just steal the urn? I'm not saying I'm going to, I'm just saying I could. Whole line of people out there. It looks longer because of spacing, but, you know. You'll be hearing shit like this all day, like, so sad, so much potential, we'll miss you, blah, blah, blah. You know, here we thought we were getting old, but they're gonna say that 31 was in your prime. Yeah, tell that to the twinks on Grindr, but okay. Maybe one of them will steal your urn. Yeah, and they'll take you someplace poetic, like sprinkle you into the ocean, not realizing that if someone ever actually took you to the ocean, you would have complained the entire time about sand in your ass. But then, you become sand in someone else's ass, like revenge. Nah, but I guess they'd notice pretty quickly if you got stolen. No, they're putting you in a wall. Yeah, that's what your sister said. She came out of the woodwork somehow, so no sprinkling you over a lake or whatever. Listen, Johnny isn't out there, so don't look for him. Yeah, he's got this whole thing where he's telling people that you died because of negligence, and he's on this whole crusade about it. You see, they close the centers because of COVID, right? But he says that they only close them in the poor parts of town. In the rich parts of town where people have health insurance, those centers are open. Well, kind of open. But yeah, I guess he's got the numbers to back it up. I guess someone did a study, so Johnny's on a mission. But y'all were together for a hot minute. I think he should be here. You know, for a second, I didn't think I would be here until they put you in the wall. Yeah, a couple of weeks ago, I was told to expect a call from my public health official. It was the contact tracers. And for a second, I was like, whoa, I already got HIV. But it was the COVID tracing people. Yeah, you see, I went to an in-person group because my head was all messed up from right after, you know. And I guess someone there had it. And then I got a second one of those calls in 5 years. But I'm good. No Miss Rona. The lady on the phone was really weird too when I told her I was paused. She was like, and she said she didn't know if it could make it worse for me. So anyways, I just told her I would stay home and not sneeze on any grandmas, and she said, okay. You know, I'm glad you never got a call like that. Because I remember when you were first diagnosed, you were a complete mess. I mean, you could barely talk to the contact tracers because your mind was spinning so fast. Not like that's any different for you, you drama queen, but I don't think you would have liked the anxiety. You know, having to wait to find out if something new was living in your body. You know, but with COVID, the scare's not the same. We don't have those zombie pictures of people with kaposies and walking skeletons and shit that they used to scare people with in the 80s. No. With COVID, there are no pictures of the apocalypse happening on your skin, so nobody's afraid enough. You know, they didn't need to socially distance us. No. Everybody just ran for the hills on their own, talking about being clean and disease-free and staying away from us lepers. Yeah. The governor didn't need to tell people to do that. They did that on their own. They knew to stay away from the guy with HIV. So, maybe you wouldn't have freaked out so bad this time. Maybe that's not a good thing. But anyway, I couldn't get Dolly Parton here. I know, that was your one request, and I feel you, but she didn't answer my call, so, but it did get me thinking. Do you remember the time we tried to go see her, and we drove all the way to Memphis, not realizing that Dollywood's on the whole ass other side of Tennessee, would have been closer to us too. We could have driven 4 hours. Instead, we drove 10 to some rundown Target parking lot. That's the last time I let you plan a road trip. But I remember, we us settling down, trying to get comfortable and trying to get a couple hours of shut-eye because there was no way we could get to Dollywood and get you home on time for you to get to work. And I remember just looking at you and seeing you leaned back in the driver's seat, and I was getting comfortable in the passenger seat. And some asshole was spray painting from the wall across from us. And I thought about kissing you. But you were with Johnny, and even though I don't get your whole name thing, I don't care what you say, the guy does look 50, but I got you. I don't think Johnny's right about the closed centers killing you. I saw you falling off. I've seen you go through some serious, moody phases when depression hit you because you acted like a whole child, even if you don't want to admit it or not. I didn't know it could get so bad if you stopped taking your meds. I don't get how someone does that. HIV is not a death sentence anymore. It sucks, and it'll eat your paycheck, and worse if you don't stay poor enough for government assistance, but you're not supposed to die. I mean, look at me. I'm in the best shape of my life. I've never been to the doctor so much, You found a way to die. You must have. And I think it's easy for Johnny to go run around blaming the closed centers than it is to realize that it was your own doing, whether you meant to or not. It was you. It must have been months. It's not like you just stop taking your meds and you die. It was weeks and weeks of me calling and you saying you were okay. A little sad, but okay. Maybe if I'd seen you at a group, I would have noticed you getting skinnier and sicker, but here I just thought it was just a shitty light on your computer making you look that way. I didn't know you weren't showing up for work. How could I if I wasn't pestering you for free tacos on my lunch break? But you were okay, a little sad, but okay. I called Johnny after I came to see you, and I saw that you were all, and he didn't say anything for a while. And then he said that he knew so many kids that died of AIDS during the crisis that he doesn't even remember their names. And then he hung up. I guess when you're the only one that makes it out alive, you're not ready to turn back around for no one. But I think you should be here. Oh shit, I've been in here too long. Listen, man, I don't want to do this. I don't want to have to come see you like this. I know it's not about me, but I don't want to have to come see your name and some cement on every birthday or every anniversary. So fuck it. We're doing this. We're going to Dollywood.
Hello, everyone. Welcome back. Thank you so much for joining us. As we're pulling questions from the chat, please submit questions in the chat. As we're pulling from them, I just wanted to mention a few things. In the spirit of continued research, please complete our survey. The QR code is right up in the corner of this screen. You can put your camera over it and the survey will pop up, the camera on your phone, or you can click the link that is in the chat. While participation in the survey is anonymous, if you do choose to do it, you can enter your email and you'll be awarded a $5 gift card. So please fill out that survey and help us out. We would greatly appreciate it. Also, if you want to share this with your friends or colleagues, you can go to covidmonologues.com to watch each of these monologues individually. Again, take the survey and connect with organizations doing COVID-adjacent work in our communities, including Reading Partners, Action and Maturity, Movable Feast, and Youth Ambassadors. Again, please continue to support the arts, especially the 5 partner theaters who worked on COVID monologues. And we have artists with us today, and while I introduce each of you, please give a wave. I have Allie Hartley-Kong, author of Better Cooking Than Talking. I have Lane Stanley of The Wrong Disease, Jess Kim, who wrote Dance of the Dead Inside, Sarasri Das, who is an actor in How to Be a Carved Horse, and B. Claymeyer, actor in Get Ready With Me. Sereni and I will be pulling questions from the chat and moderating the conversation, and also Emily and Sereni are here as public health researchers, and Jess Rasp and I as producers and directors of some of the pieces. So we would love to answer some questions and have a brief discussion. To start off with, I would love to hear more. I know that the playwrights were tasked with this very big challenge of taking public health research and translating it into theatrical stories. And I'd be curious to hear from you about challenges in that process, things you enjoyed about that process, and what that was like for you. And any of you can chime in however.
For me, I wrote Dance of the Dead Inside. I really enjoyed the process. I actually have an MPH in epidemiology and then went full-time into the arts. And so one of the reasons I left epidemiology was because I wanted to make research more translatable to the general public. And so I feel like this project was such a good fit because we were able to take these dense articles that may have like a lot of statistical analyses and were so well written for the field, but the general public doesn't always understand them. And so it was great to have that emotional connection that we're able to find and then translate for more people.
Going off what Jess was saying, for me and my own personal academic background, I'm actually a public historian by training, and I went into playwriting as a way of storytelling within museums and historic spaces, and then became a playwright from there. So for me, what was really interesting about this process is I'm used to using research in my work, but it's usually a lot more of qualitative research than quantitative research. So trying to find a way to pull out the human elements behind the numbers in the research and pull out the human stories for me was what was really interesting about this process.
Yeah, and what was great about the way that we worked is we definitely had a lot of kind of free reign to bring that artistic and human side, to determine what the stories were going to be and how to convey the information from the articles in the best way. And so that part in terms of generating story and character felt pretty familiar from just having a blank page. What was interesting for me, I think, not having a lot of exposure to these kind of scientific articles was how to be a good filter of information. Obviously, I did not include every piece of information from every article that I read. And so to try to be rigorous about the way that I prioritize what was important to communicate, I think that was a little more of a challenge. But luckily we had, other people on our team who could give feedback on that as well.
Actors, I had a question. I was wondering if any of you accessed the research, did your own background research, just kind of took the script and went ahead with it?
I think I mainly took the script at face value and treated it as if it was a piece of theater and not as something special and different. But I did watch a lot of TikTok. That was my own personal research.
I think. Oh, sorry. Sue, what about you, Sue?
I think it was mostly the monologue, but I also chatted a lot with the director and the playwright and tried to understand their experiences. And a lot of the experiences also spoke home to me and my parents, and just what I had been watching around me. So it was just like something that was familiar to me, even if I didn't quite understand all of the characters' feelings. I still like understood a giant chunk of it.
I would be curious, Emily and Serenia, you curated these public health articles into various topics. For those who may be watching who are in the public health sphere or research sphere, I'd be curious to hear more about your process in curating those articles.
Yeah, well, welcome anyone who's still with us. We know that it's a busy time to be a public health professional in the middle of the workday, and we hope that you share these with your colleagues. All of the monologues are online because we'd really love to hear from you more and learn more about this process. It was a bit of trial and error in the beginning, but what we ended up doing was systematically reviewing the qualitative research that came out on the COVID-19 experience in the US. And then we started with that. We had a pretty good database of qualitative research that tended to fall into these main topics that you see the monologues written about. And we gave the playwrights those articles, but also went to some top medical journals to find quantitative research that would supplement those same topics. And then we reviewed the literature, pulled out some main messages, and really gave the playwrights the leeway to try to communicate those same main messages through theater and drama. And some of them did use direct quotes from the research. A lot of the researchers that I've been communicating with that had seen some of these were able to pull out some of those direct quotes or those themes. Others definitely went in creative ways that we never really expected, which was really neat to see. But trying to keep that focus on, we want to get these same main messages out to people through theater that the researchers were trying to get out through their study of COVID-19 and society.
Right. And I think also when we were trying to prioritize what topics we were trying to cover, seeing what was already out there in the literature informed our decision, but also speaking to practitioners in the field, including city and county health departments, seeing what their priorities were so that we were matching the research as well as the pieces to make sure that it was relevant for our audiences to watch in the first place.
Yeah, and thinking about some of the topics, I remember in the beginning, we heard so much about mental health from our public health practitioners, saying how that's a really big topic. And it was originally a topic that we had, but then we realized it was a common theme throughout all of these. So all of the playwrights really did explore, I think, mental health in their own subtopics. We were also really surprised to find so much about HIV, but not so surprised knowing that public health researchers have been studying the HIV epidemic for decades, and with this new pandemic, looking at the parallels and looking at the lessons learned and the experiences of people that are now living in two pandemics. That was a topic that we didn't necessarily set out to address, but we found it in the literature and wanted to communicate what we had found in the literature.
I think as a follow-up question to that, I'd love to start with the public health researchers and then move on to the artists with the same question of, so much public health research stays in kind of those academic spheres and it may be implemented in different ways or influence policy or programs. But I'd be really curious, Serenia and Emily, with your decision to use theater as a medium to bring these topics to the public, and then from the artists about what that means to you in terms of using an art form to communicate things that usually kind of stay in these academic silos. I think it's just a really unique project and a really unique way to bring those two worlds together in a way that people don't normally think of bringing science and the arts together. They usually stay in their own little spaces. So I'd be curious anybody's thoughts on that. But starting with the public health researchers first.
Well, I think Emily and I have been using theater and public health before this project, with topics, ranging from sexual assault on college campuses and immigrant populations and their identity. So we've been using interview transcripts from other people's research, but also our own to inform this topic. So this project was really created when we saw a funding opportunity from the State Department about how we can innovatively try to help mitigate the effects of COVID. So I thought, why not research-based theater for this? And initially, we started the project in April thinking about it, and maybe misinformation wasn't a big problem of COVID just yet. But I think throughout these months and almost 1 year, I've realized how theater can really help communicate these messages and maybe combat the disinformation problem we have with COVID.
Yeah, similarly, Serenia and I have shared an interest in research-based theater for a while now, but most of the projects we've seen or been involved with take a single research project and turn that into theater. So allowing a really in-depth look and a really close collaboration with the research teams on the specific topic and population. This was a challenge, but a really exciting one to try to kind of look at the whole landscape of research that was being actively put out in a really critical moment in time, and seeing how we could bring theater to kind of look at so many of those different research endeavors and bring them together in a human experience that people could relate to. So it's been a real learning process, but it's been really exciting, and I hope that this process is something that we can translate to other public health research communication projects in the future.
Artists, what about you all in terms of bringing theater to science? Do you have any thoughts, comments to add?
So in my previous work in public history, one of the things that I've thought a lot about is when you're creating museum theater pieces and you're using a composite character, how do you maintain that emotional honesty? When you walk into a theater space or a virtual theater space, there's a suspension of disbelief. My monologue is about a woman waiting in line for a food, waiting in line at a community food service, and it was based off several different experiences, but it's not based off one person. So creating the real and creating the emotional accuracy within a composite situation that's drawn from multiple experiences instead of one person's experience is something that I thought a lot about, and I think just like the emotional core of the experience is something that I think about when interpreting any sort of research into theater.
Yeah, kind of going off what Ali said, I feel like there is this huge epidemic that we're facing in the public health fields, which has caused people to kind of undermine confidence in the CDC or other public health institutions or their local government. And so if we could find a new medium to help communicate this information and maybe move the needle just a little bit further to getting more people vaccinated or to stay home, just to be able to put themselves in someone else's shoes and perspective and understand that this is kind of like a collective action we all need to take for the good of our community members. That's kind of what my thinking was going into this, and hopefully we we're able to push people a little further. Although not this audience, I'm sure all of you wear your masks.
Well, I think there is such a storytelling can be so powerful and translate so many messages in so many different ways, and take really complex information, I think, and make it more relatable and connect more with people in communities. I know at Single Carrot, it's one of our missions to create socially relevant theater through partnerships like this. So it's something that's very important to me and the artists that we work with. Great. Well, thank you everyone for joining us. And again, you can go online, look at COVID Monologues, learn more information, take the survey. And if you wanted to contact anyone at COVID Monologues in the future for any future ideas or projects that you have, you can do so on the COVID Monologues website as well. Thank you so much for joining us this afternoon, and we hope that you have a lovely rest of your day.